Everybody, welcome to you all. Thank you so much for joining us for the Simulate Live-Labs Showcase. I'm Gökhan Türkanlı, Program Manager at the Connected Places Catapult, and I have the privilege of hosting this event. For the last 6 months, a carefully selected cohort of mobility and air quality SMEs have been collaborating with our program partners, Amey, Staffordshire County Council, and Keele University. The program was funded by the ADEPT Smart Places Live-Lab program, which has been a key enabler towards the success in rapid innovation that the program has delivered. So today is an opportunity for the SMEs to showcase their businesses, demonstrate what they have achieved on the program, and share their future roadmaps as they continue to scale up through the Simulate initiative. So a little bit of housekeeping. Please remember, this event is being recorded, so please keep your microphones muted during the presentation time. Yes, agenda. First thing first, let's have a look at what we have got for you today. First up, we will be hearing from one of the program's key sponsors, Staffordshire County Council. Clive Thompson will tell us more about the program vision and the wider Simulate initiative. And then we'll be hearing from Jake Harrison, Simulate Program Manager from Amey. He'll talk about the journey the partners and the SMEs have been on and what the future looks like. And then after that, stars of the event, our SMEs will pitch what they have accomplished throughout this journey. This will be a punchy introduction to each company, a dive into what they have been delivering over the last 6 months, a glimpse into the future of their projects. Following that, we'll be hearing from Como UK about their transport and mobility hubs. And finally, we will be hosting a networking session where you'll be able to visit each SMEs directly in their breakout rooms. You should be able to see breakout rooms icon at the bottom of your toolbar. So if you are new to Zoom, we'll be spending most of our time here in the main room. But for the networking session, we will move into breakout room as I mentioned earlier. So please make sure you sign in with the latest version of Zoom app, not the browser, to have the full access to networking features. You can find instruction at the last invitation email that we just sent before the event. Okay, let's get the show started. To officially kick things off, I would like to welcome Clive Thompson from Staffordshire County Council. Please welcome Clive Thompson.
Thank you very much, Gökhan. As I said, my name is Clive Thompson. I'm the Assistant Director for Connectivity and Sustainability at Staffordshire County Council. So welcome all for today. Really exciting discussion today, hopefully. I suppose just one thing about local authorities, probably not known for risk-taking, especially in times of financial challenges that we've had certainly over the last 10 years. But this programme has really allowed us to engage in innovation and take that risk-taking. So it's very much welcome with DFT, with the DFT funding that we've got. And obviously we made a pitch some years ago, and we're lucky enough to be successful in that pitch. And it's all about mobility and air quality, some of the challenges that we have with climate change. So it's very much, we're looking for solutions to help us with our problems. And working with the selected SMEs has been really exciting. Really good process, how we went through, which I'm sure that'll be touched on later. But, you know, really interesting times, and I wish everyone a really successful afternoon. So with that, I'd like to hand back to Gökhan.
Thank you, Clive. It's been really great to see how forward-thinking and collaborative Staffordshire Council have been on this journey. I'm really looking forward to seeing how the trials will develop over the coming months. As we mentioned earlier, Today is all about demonstrating what has been achieved in the last 6 months through the extensive support of the Simulate program partners. And here to tell us more, please welcome Simulate Program Manager, Jake Harrison from Amey.
Thanks, Gökhan. Hi, everybody. Am I coming through all right, Gökhan?
Yes, fine.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. Yeah, as Gökhan mentioned, Jake Harrison, I work with Amey, and we're sort of I'm the Simulate Program Manager, working for Amey, but on behalf of Staffordshire County Council to deliver this, and have had the pleasure of working with all the SMEs on the programme, all the programme partners, CPC, Keele University, and also through the sort of ADEPT funded project. All that I'll briefly do is sort of give a little bit of background to the programme over the next couple of minutes, sort of the wider vision of the programme and how we've got to where we are today. Just to give a little bit of background on what Simulate Live-Labs is and what it's part of, we're just touching on this first slide here. So Simulate is one of 8 live labs that are currently running throughout the country. As Gökhan mentioned, it's part of the £23 million funded project through ADEPT. Each of the 8 live labs has a different area of focus, some from road surfaces to video analytics, but Simulate is focused on air quality and mobility improvement through SME innovation and sort of cross-industry collaboration. Simulate sort of sets out to offer live test beds, grant funding, client introductions, and technical and development support for SMEs who have innovative solutions that that sort of need taking from TRL level 5 through to TRL level sort of 9 and sort of full commercial delivery. So we've got a range of innovations on our programme. The SMEs so far and sort of everyone involved has benefited from this cross-industry approach. As I mentioned, we've got CPC involved in the programme, offering accelerator and incubator support, including technical and developmental support for the SMEs. We've got Amey as Amey as the programme management and sort of offering technical support throughout the programme. And obviously Keele University's academic experience and support as well in the programme, and it's all underpinned and led by sort of Staffordshire County Council's local government knowledge and then their strategic guidance for how we sort of develop mobility and air quality solutions across the county. Just going on to the next slide, I'm just going to touch on the journey that we've been on so far, as it were. So the programme started out we won funding from the ADEPT Live-Labs programme through the DFT around 18 months ago. And then around 12 months ago, we really kicked off the programme. And what we wanted to do is take a little bit of a different approach to normal sort of innovation procurement that you'd see in local authorities. We wanted to sort of focus on innovation through an outcome-based approach. That started with a challenge creation process. So there was around 20 of us in a room across all partners, but heavily involved, obviously, the county council and all the local boroughs involved in this sort of challenge creation. We had 3 live workshops where we identified what the main issues were across the county and how we could go about addressing them. But what we didn't do, we didn't focus on exactly what the solutions were, and that's what we wanted to leave almost to the market. So as we sort of went through, we identified these core challenges in mobility and air quality. Air quality focused around 3 different issues for transport emissions, and then similar for mobility as well. But the mobility was centered around the idea of a mobility hub network of nodes and hubs used to support the gaps in rural transport and urban transport as well, and how we transition away from a private car reliance to a sort of newer mobility ecosystem. So with that in mind, we took those challenges out to market. We presented those challenges to the market for around 3 months period. After those 2 to 3 months, we had sort of 130 applications, whittled those down through a various number of sort of technical scoring and then Dragon's Den or pitch style processes, and then some technical due diligence with support from all the partners. And then we arrived at the 10 SMEs that we have on the programme today. And then from July or from June through to today, there's been the Incubator and Accelerator Programme delivered by the Connected Places Catapult, and then running from July or from when the first trials kicked off in September through to around the next 12 months through to the end of next year, we'll be delivering the solutions on our live test beds in Staffordshire. And that's sort of the process and the journey we're on. So today signifies sort of the coming to the end of the accelerated incubator support and a great opportunity us to invite the SMEs to talk about their innovations, because there's been some really brilliant stuff happen so far, and also some great stuff I'm sure still to come. Just to briefly touch on the challenges that have come out so far, or that the SMEs applied to address. So one, in air quality. So it was about the reduction of harmful gases and particulates from transport emissions. So we have 3 test beds that will be focused, that the SMEs have applied to focus on there. So that's from a rural crossroads through to a busy town centre ring road, and the innovations are targeted there. And then from a mobility perspective, the focus of the idea of a mobility hub and node, a place where we can have multiple different transport options available. What we wanted to do is focus on the core challenges that we'd see in sort of implementing a mobility hub, and this looked something similar to so sort of 1 to 5 mile radius of connections that you would see to and from a mobility hub, rapid and direct point-to-point travel, and then behaviour change, and then integration as well, sort of multiple mobility modes in a single location. So if I'm just going to touch really quickly, guys, and I'll let the SMEs come in and sort of deliver the really interesting stuff on innovation. This was our sort of concept of mobility hub when we first started the program. Obviously, for what we've got on the program, we're not building an all shiny sort of dancing mobility hub, but the idea is that there's sort of a cohesive strategy that these SMEs would fit into. So the innovations that were brought in would sit sort of as a cohesive unit in a mobility hub infrastructure ecosystem, but then also as standalone solutions in themselves. So the SMEs are forming part of that structure. So anything from the micromobility SMEs that we have involved, that sort of looking at the 1 to 5 mile radius to and from mobility hubs, to the green wall solutions that we have that would be looking at reducing particulates at source. I won't dwell too much on this, because I will let the SMEs explain their innovations a lot better than I ever could. So just to finally wrap up on the program overall, the mobility challenges were centered around 2 feasibility studies conducted by Amey. A first one that we sort of used to underpin the challenge creation process and what challenges we needed addressing, to a second one that's taken a really granular look at the area we're running mobility challenges, which is within Stafford, which is obviously part of Staffordshire as well. I think, look, with that in mind, and sort of this slide, I'd like to pass back over to yourself and let you carry on with the session. Thank you all again for joining today.
So thanks so much for the presentation. Yeah, I can't agree more. It has been a great journey so far, and a lot to see. So without further ado, please let me introduce you to our cohort, and let's kick off with the pitches. And they are Biotecture, Fortec, Ginger, Clean Air, Now Wireless, Lift Tango, 42, Zwings, MEV, and Urban Electric. So on to first presentation. To set the scenes, let's talk about a little bit our cities that are notorious for being concrete jungles that retain harmful air pollutants. Whilst there are many companies trying to solve this challenge through digital technologies, here to talk about how harnessing nature can be more sustainable and effective solution. Please welcome Richard Sabin from Biotecture.
Hi, thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Richard.
Hi, Gökhan. Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon. At Biotecture, we have been bringing targeted elements of green infrastructure and nature back into our cities for the last 13 years. Whether it's a prestigious living wall, a planted green hoarding, or the greening of offices, schools, or homes, the simple inclusion of plants creates desirable places to be and mitigates for some of our negative environmental impacts. So how is our relationship with our planet going? Up until recently, it seems like we've disconnected from nature, if only that were true. In terms of actually connecting with nature, we really haven't. Climate change, air pollution, biodiversity, they're all down to us. But there are the beginnings of a groundswell of opinion of people who do really want to reconnect from and benefit from the benefits that nature can give to us. We have been, and we are developing more greener, agile ways of greening environments. And the time has come to do this at scale. The inclusion of better technology within these products to allow for this is the next thing that really interests us, and I'll come back to that in a minute. So whether it is mitigating against the soon to be felt impacts of climate change or creating enriching places, green infrastructure has an integral part to play in shaping our future urban landscapes. One of the products we have been developing is based on harnessing the power of plants by actively drawing polluted air across the root zone where the air is cleaned. The cleaner air can then be directed or diverted to places where people spend time or congregate. A series of patented, stackable and modular troughs full of beautiful plants, combined with a system of fans and diffusers, forms an active airflow living wall. Perfect for providing natural fresh air to indoor environments like offices, schools, transport hubs. And lab testing to date shows significant levels of cleaning of pollutants, including NOx and particulate matter, via solely a biological filtration process, with efficiencies that match mechanical filters currently on the market. And there is a significant air purification market. Cleaning air naturally with plants also provides additional visual greening benefits. Externally, people can congregate in potentially polluted locations, schools, playgrounds, bus stops, piazzas, city centres, and here we can create specific clean air zones where people can breathe easier. As part of this Live-Labs Accelerator Programme, for example, we're installing an active airflow living wall system on the boundary of an infant school on the playground and directing cleaner air into a clean air shelter. Current playground pollution levels exceed EU recommended limits, and the shelter will provide cleaner air and double up as a sustainability learning resource for the children. The overall market is substantial and really taps into people's rekindled desire to reconnect with nature and also to associate with sustainable brands that are bringing positive change to our world. So how can we do this at scale? To enable us to deploy at scale requires biology and technology. We've cut our teeth on the biology, and it's integrated, responsive and adaptive technology where we need to go next. Augmented reality to show what's possible, operational automation to give assurance, and really good user experience to communicate the benefits. These will all help to maximise the potential rollout, and this is specifically where we are seeking investment. Right now, we're transiting as a business from a projects focus to a products focus. This transition offers multiple revenue streams, a worldwide potential market, and more importantly, a chance to develop and deploy designed in nature products that can be of benefit to people and planet. And this is my core team. And as a business, we are rooted in nature and focused on the future. Thank you.
Thanks, Richard. It was a great presentation. It's been great 6 months. Susan, thanks again. I believe Jake has a question.
I do, guys. I'm sorry, I don't know if it's my connection or yours. It was just a little bit in and out. So just quickly, Richard, can I ask, what are the barriers in the current marketplace to implementing green infrastructure that you've seen so far at scale? And then how are you seeking to overcome them?
Yeah, well, the obvious perceived barrier is cost, both the cost of implementation and of maintenance. I think deployment at scale, as it does when it happens in all other industries, will enable those costs to come down. But the very real breakthrough will come when the focus shifts to value and return on investment. I mean, for example, there's a 2020 Parks Alliance report that concluded that for every £1 spent on the parks, it delivers an estimated £7 in additional value for health, well-being and the environment. But over the last decade, park budgets have been cut. So surely we want a society based on value, so we need to redirect our focus from cost to value. And another related barrier is a confusion of where to start, and even, dare I say it, a suspicion of working with nature. And we're continuing to develop the evidence base to give a real understanding of the options and where the best value lies for us individually, corporately, and as a society. I hope that helps to answer your question.
It was brilliant. Thanks, Richard. Pleasure.
Thank you. I'm sure there are a lot to learn about your technology. So please visit Biotecture breakout room after the presentations. So now we'll hear about city pollution. Transportation emissions are a major contributor to the levels of pollution in our cities. Reducing congestion is a key challenge, relying on advanced technology to optimize our network. here to present their innovative approach using existing underground infrastructure. Please welcome Stuart Larch from Fortec.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your time this afternoon. So most people think of telecom fibre as a means of communication or to transmit data from place to place. But to Fortec and our partners, we look at it as a mesh of millions of sensors which use the fibre itself to detect vibrations, acoustic energy, and strain in the ground around them. Now, air quality is a serious problem. Emissions from transportation are thought to result in 40,000 premature deaths in the UK every year and billions of pounds of associated health costs. And we believe we can use fibre sensing to help reduce this. So as cars, lorries, or vans drive along a road, they send vibrations and the effects of strain into the ground. And that actually disturbs the light that is pulsing in fibre alongside these roads. And with smart software and the application of machine learning, we're able to distinguish the different signatures of a car versus a lorry, even footsteps of pedestrians or vibrations of bridges and other infrastructure. And if we bring that to an intersection, we can actually use fibre alongside the road in each of the directions to track and to classify the types of vehicles that are approaching our intersection. We can calculate when they arrive, and then we have the data to make decisions about how best to change the traffic lights. We can prioritise those heavy vehicles that may pollute more. We can reduce congestion. We can aim to reduce fuel consumption, reduce emissions, and improve the air quality around this intersection. Through the course of the Simulate programme, we've made tremendous progress, first of all, in understanding the logistics and commercials around accessing the fibre we need. But technically, huge developments in machine learning, as demonstrating on this screen, and also in traffic light control, and working hard understanding our value proposition for this technology and many other use cases. And there are indeed many use cases for fibre sensing in intelligent transport and cities. In fact, a $500 billion opportunity to provide information and insights that allow us to make for a cleaner environment through reduction in fuel consumption and more efficient transportation. We can use this to stop crime, prevent accidents, and ultimately bring about a happier population. We have a lot of traction. This is established technology that's been used for many years to protect pipelines, perimeters, even borders through 27 countries in which we're working. In smart cities, intelligent transport, we're working in Calgary on their city fibre as a sensor project. We've just been approved in Milton Keynes to work on their 5G testbed, which we're very happy about. And we're starting work with a large US telco to unleash the potential of their fibre. Also exciting for us is our acquisition by BP Launchpad at the end of last year. This is allowing us to invest substantially in our technology as part of the BP energy transition. And next year, we're planning 20 new hires just in our engineering team alone, 75% of whom will be in software. So our ask at this point is to find forward-looking partners that can help us remove the barriers to the technology deployment through collaboration and help us achieve the scale up by moving on to a larger scale test bed, explore the new use cases and really unleash the potential of this technology using fibre that is everywhere in your city and alongside your transportation infrastructure. Thank you very much. Happy to invite a question.
Thanks, Stuart. Great presentation. Let's jump straight into questions. Jake?
Hi, thanks, Gökhan. Thanks, Stuart. Sure, I know we've mentioned this on a couple of times, and and you've mentioned it here, just on DAS, how can it potentially improve road safety? And could you give us a couple of examples of how that's done?
Sure. Well, one of the real benefits of fibre is that you can think of it as thousands of sensors in a line along the side of your road. So rather than traditional sensors such as cameras or inductive loops that are just looking at one point on the road, we can monitor vehicles continually along their journey. So at an intersection where perhaps you might expect to see somebody slow down for a red light, if they continue at speed or even accelerate to try and beat the light, we'll see that in the trajectory of their journey. And so we could use that information to anticipate that event and then keep the other directions on a red light so that nobody comes out in front of that dangerous vehicle. On a slip road from a motorway or a dual carriageway, for example, where we get queues because people can't get off the end of the slip road to wherever they're going, the queue builds up onto the highway, and who knows how far back it may tail back. Well, again, the benefit of fibre is we can always have fibre sensing.
There we go, it's running ahead of me. I'm Richard Bland, I'm the COO of Ginger, and we're helping Staffordshire and Stafford in particular with the provision of e-scooters for hire. What's the problem that we're trying to solve? The UK is in love with cars, it's still in love with cars. We love them too much. 55% of journeys under 5 miles are by cars or vans. That's a very short distance. 60% of journeys are single occupancy. So that's only one person sitting in that lump of steel pumping out pollution. These are journeys easily replaced by active transport or public transport, but it's not happening. Persuading the UK population to make that switch is really hard. For a lot of people, active transport is just too active. And for many people, public transport, especially now in a COVID world, isn't either available or it's very undesirable. So what's happening? Cars are still used. COVID caused a wonderful collapse in pollution, but it's going right up. So we're providing scooters, but scooters, if you do them badly, they can cause their own problems. Unregulated parking, like this image here, that causes pavement blocking. It drives everyone mad. And if you're disabled or you've got a pushchair, it's a nightmare. Usage in inappropriate areas can cause accidents and complaints. That's not what we want. We don't want scooters whizzing around pedestrianised areas. We don't want people riding scooters on fast roads and meeting trucks and vans going equally fast. High prices, if you charge too much for scooters, you get low acceptance. This should be a model of transport that's available to everyone. And we run parking bays, but if you run parking bays, you've got to choose them carefully. You've got to choose them appropriately where people want them, but also so they don't block the pavement, so you don't cause the problems that you're trying to avoid. So who are we? So we're British. We were founded back in 2018. We're currently live in 4 cities across the UK, including Middlesbrough up in the Tees Valley, which was the first city to launch back in mid-July. We've had 125,000 miles ridden on our scooters. I'm not going to use a football pitch analogy here. It's too big for that. It's 5 times around the Earth's circumference. It's a big number. We've got 12 more cities to launch over the next couple of months, and we've got 3 going live in the next 2 weeks. We're different from a lot of the others. We operate a fixed parking bay structure. The aim of that is to eliminate that street clutter, eliminate that pavement obstacle course. We only allow scooters to start and finish in fixed locations. There doesn't need to be any physical infrastructure for that. It's just powered through GPS geofencing. We believe it's the only way to run a scooter fleet responsibly. And with 125,000 miles ridden, we've yet to have a single complaint about bad parking. All of our current deployments, so we determine a service area. If you go outside that service area, the scooters stop. We have no-go zones. You can see on the map here, that's the centre of Stafford, and that's the pedestrianised area in Stafford. If you go into that area, your scooter stops. It's not like hitting a brick wall. It gradually reduces to 0. And then we have slow zones. It's kind of okay to ride a scooter in here, but not at full speed. So we reduce the speed down from our max speed of 11.5 miles an hour down to 6.5 miles an hour. Pricing, we believe pricing is really important. We believe that this is a service that should be available to everyone. Most operate £1 unlock fee and then a price per minute. We believe that excludes key demographics, and that lowers adoption and drives occasional rather than regular use. We don't mind people using this kind of for fun, for kind of a high day on a holiday, but we want this to be part of everyone's life. It needs to be a genuine alternative to public transport. So we only charge £2 for 20 minutes. That gets you about 3.5 miles. We know this works. We're up in Middlesbrough. That's the most socially deprived local authority in the country. We've just done some really interesting research, and that shows that 80% of our riders in Middlesbrough earn less than 20,000. And we get something like 70 to 80% of people saying that we have a very affordable or affordable price point. It shows pricing is important. We want genuine affordability for all. Okay, the market potential is really quite large. Germany is, they legalized scooters before we didn't here in the UK. It's a very highly regulated market though, much like the UK is. On average, a city in Germany with about 50,000 inhabitants supports, or 50,000 and more, supports about one hard scooter for every 250 inhabitants. That gives quite a scary number of 128,000 scooters potentially for hire in the UK. But that's only scary if they are in the wrong places, driving at the wrong speeds, and driving irresponsibly in the wrong areas. And it's not just e-scooters we're talking about here. It's that's just the start of it. You know, we're a micro-mobility company. We start with e-scooters, and that's what this world will be. You know, it's not going to be just 2 wheels, it's going to be 4 wheels. We're going to have covered vehicles. We're going to have vehicles with cargo spaces. These are all models that exist now. They just haven't been launched commercially, but it'll happen. Stafford has been a great success for us. We started small. We're a new form of transport. We don't want to disturb the local environment. So we started with only 23 scooters and 6 parking bays. 6 parking bays pretty much in the center of Stafford. We're now up to 85 scooters. We've got 18 parking bays. We're just about to roll out quite a lot more. We've got over 3,000 registered users. We've got 10,000 miles ridden, just above 10,000. So that's not quite around the Earth's circumference, but it's from Stafford to Los Angeles and back again. The maximum distance that one of our riders has covered is 34 miles. I wouldn't recommend that unless you're feeling brave, but it just shows how much people love scooters. One of the really exciting things for us, though, is the fact that this is not a service just for people to have fun on. It's not I'll go out for a trip on a scooter and ride around in a circle. On average, 50% of our scooters ride from point to point, and that indicates modal shift. We monitor our bay performance really carefully. We monitor how many miles people on average are doing from the bay, where they go, and that shows us kind of what the difference is we're making within Stafford. That's just the start of it. As it gets more embedded within the city and people become more and more used to it, that number will go up. So who are we? So I'm the COO. It was founded by Paul Hodgins, who was 16 years a borough councillor, ex-leader of Richmond Council. We've got some great investors. Northern Powerhouse are a significant investor in us. And we've got Andrew Gary, who founded Lush, Angus Thirlwell, who founded Hotel Chocolat, and John Rose, who was COO of Rolls-Royce for a long time, backing us. What we're looking for, we're a young company. We're growing fast. We're always looking for future investors, and we're going out again for future investments in Q1 of next year. And we're always looking for new opportunities. We've got some great deployments lined up. We're very happy where we are, but we think our model and the way we do things is something that could bring real benefits to local authorities and to private companies. That's us.
Thank you very much, Richard. Great presentation. It has been a pleasure working with you and with your team. And it's been amazing to see how rapidly Ginger has grown throughout the program. You have achieved great traction throughout the program. Congratulations one more time. I think we have a question for you, Jake.
Yeah, just a quick one from me, Richard. I know you touched on the pricing.
Yeah.
in the program, but how important have you found pricing successive deployment, especially in comparison to sort of traditional public transport modes?
We think there are two things that are vital in a scooter deployment. One is responsible parking, and secondly is pricing. If you don't get the pricing right, it doesn't become a genuine alternative for people to use. The reason we're in Stafford, the reason we are passionate about scooters, is that we believe that it's a genuine alternative to other forms of transport. It drives modal shift. If you price it as a luxury, as something for a tourist to use, or for that, you know, the classic image of everyone has about a scooter rider, a bloke aged about 26, goatee, carrying a latte made of almond milk. If you want it not to be that, I don't mind that guy riding our scooters, but I want everyone to ride our scooters. What's really important is you've got to get that pricing right. Otherwise, it's just not affordable for everybody.
Perfect, thanks, Richard. Well, we've definitely seen that in Stafford so far. The pricing's led to great uptake. So looking forward to the rest of the programme.
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, Jake. Thanks, Richard. And good luck with the future rollouts. I can't wait to try one of those scooters.
We'll get you on one.
Thank you. Let's move on to the next presentation, which is about pollutants. So removing harmful pollutants from the air in our cities and buildings is a global challenge. The infrastructure needed, usually expensive to scale, lacks the smart connectivity. Here to present the innovative approach that address this challenge, please welcome Chiara Verdesse from East Clean Air.
Hello, everybody. Can you see me?
Hi, Chiara.
Okay. Can you see me? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Why I can go ahead with my presentation?
Click once on the presentation with mouse, and you should receive the control, and then you can move ahead with arrow keys. There you go.
Thank you. So yes, Clean Air is an SME which has developed a concrete solution for a big problem. The problem is the air pollution, which causes every year around the world more than 9 million of premature deaths. So the problem is concentrated in the urban areas where 56% of the population live. So our solution is based on our APA technology. We developed a filterless, water-based air pollution abatement system for a healthier life and more sustainable environment. This technology is unique because it's the only one first filterless solution which operates distributed for the ambient. Oh, what's happened? What's happened, Gökhan?
Sorry, there must be some issues with the controls.
I don't click on nothing.
Okay. Can you bring it back now, please?
Yeah.
If that works.
So here is the right slide. It is patented, certified, smart, modular, and flexible multi-service platform. It has monitoring and remote controls and can and could fight COVID-19. And for this reason, it is also certified as a medical device. So it can operate in indoor and outdoor environments. It's scalable and flexible because it could be integrated with some other solution already exists. It is cheap and Gökhan, I think that there is the automatical changes on the slide because I click nothing but the slide changes.
Okay. Is it at the right page at the moment?
No, yes.
Sorry about that.
So it is extremely cheap because for the cost effective and for the running and maintenance cost, we don't use filter, and for this reason we don't generate special waste and help fight COVID-19, as I already said. So how the technology works, the air is captured in a specific chamber introduced in a weak scrubber, which perform the first level of first abatement stage of pollutants. Then is generated a fluid of gas and water, and which is guided through a shower scrubber, which provide a second level of abatement with pollutants precipitating in water. So the final stage is based on an abatement system called the deposition stack, and at the end of the washing process, the purified air is reintroduced in the surrounding environment. So the market size and opportunity for us are very big. We operate in these three main sectors for cleaner cities, cleaner workplaces, and cleaner buildings. And for the outdoor air purification market, the total available market estimated is about 350 billion by 2027. For the indoor virus detection market, the total available market is around 2 billion by 2023. So a big opportunity to grow. Our traction milestones are very, very huge, and as startup we can already count more than 135 installations. At the moment we have more than 12 main pipeline initiatives. We can count more than 9 business and value chain partners, and we already raised an investment of 7 million, including 2.5 of equity. We can count more than 20 awards, national and internationally, and more than 50 recognition. So we already done a lot of installation in Italy, mainly in Italy, but also in France and in Israel train station of Tel Aviv. So our team is composed by our CEO, Giuseppe Spanto, Paolo Tripodi, who developed the technology, our president, Pietro Calò, me, and our advisors, Sandro and Nicola. So our business model is based on commercial opportunities like the creation of joint ventures, public-private partnership, and ad hoc project and APA device sales. We ask an investment of 50 million, including the medical sector, and we need the investment to enhance and improve the organization structure, support commercial activities and working capital for new intellectual properties and further extension of certification to expand our APA solution products and support new extensive growth opportunities. Thank you for the attention, and I'm very, very sorry for the problem with the slides.
No problem, Chiara. We thank you for great presentation. Despite the technical challenges of digital world, you handle it very well. Thank you. We have a question for you before you go, Jake.
Yeah, just a quick one from me, Chiara. Thanks for the presentation. I just wanted to ask you, what do you think's changed between the start and the end of your involvement on the Simulate program?
Yeah, at the beginning of the Simulate program, yes, Clean Air did not have a clear idea of how to adapt its business and strategy within the UK market. Simulate gave me the opportunity to better explore the different opportunities and to better understand stakeholder needs in the fields of the application of our technology. This has been extended to many other markets and other stakeholders presented during the course of the various webinars. Furthermore, the beginning of the pandemic coincided with the start of the Simulate initiative, just when we realized that our technology could also be used for detection of coronavirus presence indoor. So The various networking activities allowed us to engage with some relevant contacts of international stakeholders, and overall there has certainly been a positive evolution of ES Clean Air from the beginning of the program until today, and for this reason I'm very thankful to you.
Thank you, Chiara. Jake, thanks for the question. We, particularly CPC, we have done lots of work with ES Clean Air. I'm sure there will be lots of new ventures that will work together.
Yeah, and I'm sure too.
Please save your questions for Chiara for the networking session. You can find her in the ES Clean Air room. So now we are moving on to the next one. From Rome to Sydney, from Italy to Australia. Next company is Live-Tango. As the number of mobility options continues to grow, the demand for certain modules fluctuates. This leads to underused services and, more importantly, emission that could have been avoided. Live-Tango is here to present how their technology could be answered this challenge. Please welcome Kevin Orr from Live-Tango.
Thanks, thanks, Gökhan. Hi, everybody. Hope you're all well. I am Kevin Orr. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Live-Tango. Live-Tango provides demand-responsive transport technology. We are transforming a fixed-route bus service into a completely dynamically routed system. A system that means buses only go where and when they need to go and are much more conveniently timed and located for passengers. So we are essentially reinventing the bus service that we've had since World War II. And we're providing it to public transport operators, councils, cities, and corporates. We solve a number of problems, the main problem being ghost buses. I'm sure a few of you will have seen a double-decker bus driving around your suburb, winding through the suburb with nobody on it or very few people on it. There is definitely a better way to provide a public transport system than what we currently have. We also provide a more equitable transport service. So people with disabilities are able to include their requirements up front when they book transportation. And specific vehicles that aid their transport are then able to be provided to pick them up and drop them off more closer to where they need to go and when they need to get there, and in a more timely manner. We also link in nicely with other modes of mass transport and shared mobility. So connecting people into shared mobility hubs is something we've been working with the ADEPT program and Staffordshire Council on simulating the benefits of more modes and how you get people into those areas. We also leverage new infrastructure, new roads more easily than older design systems. We reduce excess driving, so no needs for buses to just keep looping around. They'll only go where they need to go, and that reduces the CO2 impacts of this system on our areas. And we're just providing technology that is more expected these days after the introduction of Uber into the taxi industry. People are expecting to be able to book modes on their mobile phone or websites. But ultimately, we've seen fixed route transport systems reducing the number of people they're passenger transporting. So 300 million less people are being transported by fixed routes than 4 years ago, and we're helping reverse that decline. So our system can be implemented into council regions, corporates, cities as a platform that takes the existing assets, the existing fleets that are already available in those communities. So public transport, corporate transport, community transport can all be unified in this platform and better leveraged and provided out to the communities, and then dynamically routed so they're only traveling when and where they need to travel. Our solution forms sort of three main areas. There's the user application, so a mobile app, a website, and a call center is used for bookings. If you've ever used Uber, you'll feel the same sort of user experience as that with the mobile app. Our bus drivers have an application to tell them when and where they need to go. Keeps it very simple, and our bus operators get to see all the data and all the bookings that they have in real time, and can take advanced bookings. In some services, we have up to 28-day advanced bookings. And when you replace a fixed bus route with a DRT service, you go from having roughly 60, maybe 70% coverage of your constituents in that area, the lucky ones that live near the fixed bus route, to having a 100% coverage for all your constituents, and a more timely, convenient time frame that you can pick them up and drop them off in. Since COVID, we've seen huge impacts on our public transport systems and transport systems in general. Massive reductions on passengers that may never get back to where they were pre-COVID, and our travel patterns have forever been changed. Work from home has had a big impact, and people are more localized in their movements. This has meant that councils and cities have transitioned to DRT quicker than ever. It's been forced due to the changing travel patterns. The existing design of the network is not fit, and many fixed bus routes are forever redundant. So with our technology, you're able to predict in advance and take real-time bookings on where people are going to be requesting travel to and from. And this is accelerating around the world. And we're an impact-driven company. We focus heavily on reducing CO2 and increasing our social impact. And for many of our clients, we're reducing the CO2 impacts by 24,000 kgs a year, equivalent to roughly 31 soccer pitches of forest annually. This is just some of the team based in Australia there, but you'll find us around the world in North America and the UK. And we're driven to make sustainable and meaningful connections through our engaging platforms that optimize transport systems and combat climate change. And these are just some of our partners that we work with. Transdev is a very close partner, largest bus operator globally, Go Ahead Bus Group in the UK, Volvo, IKEA in Europe as well, amongst others. We've got 45 deals globally around the world. It's actually more now, with our DRT sales increasing roughly 418%, and continuing with extremely sticky retention rates as well. And the industry and the market is growing quickly as well, set to explode by 2030 to become a 551 billion market size. So within the ADEPT program, we've been working with Staffordshire City Council to simulate the benefits of implementing DRT where it makes sense as well, and designing an appropriate service. During the program, we've also been launching a service in the North Lincolnshire area. It's the largest large geographic rural area for DRT in the UK, 515 square miles. And we've taken a lot of that learnings and a lot of the designs and new features that we've implemented back into our simulations and provided that value back into the ADEPT program and back to the Staffordshire City Council. So we are launching 5 more DRT services across the UK early next year. And we're very interested in speaking with other councils who may have similar problems. We've got a lot of content these days. There's a link there that you can sign up to see some of our case studies, understand more of our playbooks and how we operate. And if you do want to get in touch and talk to anyone at Lift-Tango, I'm very happy to do that as well. Thank you very much, all. Appreciate that.
Thanks for your presentation, Kevin. It's been great working with you. I remember at first, until you moved your branch to UK, it was very challenging for you. You were joining some of the calls at midnight. But now that you're here.
Yeah, yeah, I'm glad those days are over.
Thank you. Jake, over to you.
Cheers, Gökhan. Thanks, Kevin. Just a quick one, Kevin. What emerging mobility trends and challenges are you most excited about Lift and Go solving in the near future?
Thanks, Jake. Yeah, there's a bit of a convergence happening with DRT accelerating into public transport, corporate transport, alongside EVs, the introduction of EVs. Currently, the EV minibus market is still a little bit immature. The range is not quite there, and the design of the vehicles has probably got some way to go as well. But there's definitely a convergence and a driver to get to net zero. Implementing EVs is great, but the convenience and boosting the adoption of public transport is a key factor that DRT works towards. But with doing or incorporating EVs into a fleet, you may have a mixed fleet of ICE vehicles and EV vehicles. You need to capture the additional variables that comes with EVs, such as increased charge times, increased battery depletion if they go up a hill, for example, on different elevations. So these are just some of the things we're working on right now, more in a desktop study manner. But we're looking at next year being a big year for the introduction of a mixed fleet of EVs and in the future, hopefully, complete EV fleets that we're working with as well.
Brilliant. Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin. Looking forward to seeing your simulate trial results. It's amazing to see how Lift and Go developing DRT concept very effectively. Thank you. Please, if you have questions for Kevin, visit Lift and Go breakout room. Let's move to the next company. We go back to the world of micromobility with another SME that has achieved great traction through the program. Here to present their hyper-localized micromobility solutions, providing socially distanced alternatives to public transport. Please welcome Joe Levin from Zwings.
Thank you very much, Gökhan. I appreciate that. My name is Joe Levin. I'm the CEO and founder of Zwings. So we've emerged as the UK's leader for micromobility rental schemes inside one of the most highly anticipated markets of the decade. So there's a revolution taking place as we speak. Demographics who would have otherwise not traditionally opted for other modes of travel are now enjoying the far-reaching benefits that e-scooters and bikes bring forth. Zwings are operational in 4 towns and cities across the UK so far, with 4 more to go live in very early 2021. We're also launching various B2B projects, which are very exciting to support organisations to help their staff, to help their customers to return back to their facilities sustainably and healthily as we emerge from lockdown. So for us, Zwings is focused on delivering hyper-localised rental services for communities. Each town and city has individualistic needs and targets, and we're here to tailor our transport solution accordingly. We're fortunate enough to join the Simulate programme to work with Staffordshire County Council, Amey and other stakeholders to design a tailored scheme for the Newcastle under Lyme community that would help to solve the clean community challenge. So the problems that we are solving, the combined impact from COVID, climate change and the demand for convenient and affordable travel has acted as a catalyst to increase the need for our micromobility solutions. Our collective ambition at the Simulate programme was to reduce unnecessary private car usage, particularly for those short urban trips, and to provide that sustainable social distancing solution across town and between key focal points, such as Keele University and the town. However, considering Keele is actually one of the largest campus-based universities, there's also now an opportunity to provide that solution for inter-campus travel, which we'll be embarking on in early 2021. So Zwings' solution was formulated by working with the partners at Simulate and personalising that services with those respective partners. So, for example, we worked with Amey to take a deep dive demographic analysis on the local area. We wanted to determine precisely who is the target customer, where they are based, what are the attributes and possible variable factors that would increase or decrease the propensity to ride the scooter, which is really interesting. And we've looked to implement a regulated parking bay model approach, whereby scooters had to be parked within designated areas across town, but actually locating those parking bays in the first place so that they're in the most convenient places, so that scooters were in the right places at the right time to most accurately meet demand. that was all part of the programme from which we've now implemented. Some recent press articles which were positive. In fact, one of them is relating to the unlimited e-scooter rides that we provided for NHS, ambulance and police personnel. So the growth of the market now, it's phenomenal, really, really exciting. I like to think that we're in minute 5 of a 90-minute football match, particularly with the UK, because they've only just legalised e-scooter rental schemes. So we feel there's great opportunity now that we've secured contracts with 5+ councils across the country and various other B2B organisations. We're now in great scope to expand across the country and then internationally by providing these tailored transport services. Traction thus far, working with multiple towns. Only a small proportion of scooters have been deployed thus far, but have achieved a very large number of rides, which we're very, very happy with, and actually have exceeded many of the industry averages in terms of average ride time and length of trip as well. So what have we learned? We've learned all about regulated approach, starting small, scaling, and then actually identifying who precisely that customer is as well. Some of the team, we draw from some of the industry's leading experience. We've hired people internationally, they've flown in, and now we're working with them on a daily basis and drawing from their micromobility experience, as well as some corporate innovators as well. So let's connect. Feel free to reach out. We're raising Series A. Very, very excited to work with more investors, more corporate partners, and more local authorities as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Another great presentation. And again, it's great to see all the traction you have accomplished throughout the program. Very promising company. Jake, over to you.
Thanks, Gökhan. Cheers, Joe, for the presentation. Joe, I know you briefly touched on sort of the experience you have and people flying in across the globe to work with you. Why do you think the UK micromobility market has taken off so rapidly in the past sort of 6 to 12 months?
Sure. Well, the UK market's been asking for this revolution for a long time, we think, with improving cycle lane infrastructure, growing awareness for the benefits of cycling and scooting. We genuinely feel there's a very scalable opportunity here. So no longer micromobility schemes reserved for the likes of London with the Boris bikes as we've had since 2009. Now we feel there's great scope to work with second and third tier cities, campuses, as well as businesses, where there's demand and a need for sustainable solutions, but really no supply at all. So yeah, it's an exciting next few years ahead of us, I think.
Thank you, Joe. Very interesting. So please visit Zwing's breakout room after the presentations. So let's move to the next presentation. Monitoring pollution levels in our cities is only one part of the challenge. It won't help us prevent it. Here to present how their artificial intelligence solution, together with the innovative technologies, can help cities forecast and mitigate this challenge. Please welcome Brian Jackson from Now Wireless.
Hi there, my name is Brian Jackson. I'm the director of Now Wireless. We've all seen this slide, but our journey on this, getting involved in this, started in 2014. We were brought in to examine the pollution at TfL had near London Bridge. And the thing that we found in 2014 was that the sensors weren't very good. They didn't give any real-time information. We couldn't see how you could possibly control that. The sensors for measuring the traffic flow, etc., were just not adequate. And in fact, the biggest polluter turned out to be refrigerated lorries, and it was only found there because we had a camera pointing in that direction that we realized why we were getting a spike at 6:30 in the morning. So we put together a team of people. We brought in some more developers, and we've got a team of 10 developers now to add to our communications technology to develop a solution which we think this would solve this. Well, not solve. It's a solution among a number of solutions. And what we've done is that we've developed sensors that sample at 500 times a second and give real-time data to AIs, and they're called targeted sensors. So they're designed to interact with an AI and to give it the information it needs. So takes information from weather, takes information from journey time, from the routes, and there are two elements of it. So there's an edge AI, which measures what the vehicles are, classifies them, says that's a truck, that's a bus, puts that information into what's called a city AI, which work on obviously a city and coordinate between different nodes. And the city AI is continuously making pollution predictions. About every 5 minutes it updates it. It's predicting 15 minutes ahead, 30, 45, an hour ahead. And it's not just saying I've gone over the limit or not, it's actually predicting the value of that going to be. We developed the algorithms on mainframes and really didn't have the computing power to do this. But now our AI is on street at 20 trillion operations per second, and we have slices of AI in the city doing 500 trillion operations per second. So the benefit of also of doing this particular target, you end up with a few other goodies that come with it. You can do counting and classification of vehicles, count cycles, pedestrians. You can create virtual loops for vehicles, so you can use the cameras that you're using to classify the vehicles to work out what's polluting, to actually trigger traffic lights, etc. And obviously you can also track and enforce using that AI. And the technologies that we've developed allow us to bring these all together into one package. Obviously, we're not totally altruistic, I'm afraid. We're very interested in the market, and you've seen all the numbers, 98 billion by 2025. And this whole marketplace has exploded across all of the things that we've seen that's coming in. Who are we? Now Wireless, we've got 30,000 devices on street. We've got 1 billion data records of traffic movements. We have 10,000 network nodes. We've got 44 councils. We're in 50 countries for different products, etc. And we were founded in '89, and we focus on AI and IoT. This was the target where the pollution monitor is going to sit, and this gives us the ability to go from that. We measure all the traffic that's coming into that, and then we have the solution of actually gating this traffic in this system. Catapult helped us by changing what we marketed and basically gave us a lot of infrastructure and support for it. What are we looking to do? We're looking for more customers in the OEM and government marketplace, and we're looking at investment to increase our market share from where it is now to a greater value. And that's passing back to you, Gokhan.
Thanks, Brian. Really interesting technology. And it has been great working with you and with your team. Thanks so much. We have a question for you. Jake?
Yeah, Brian, I was just hoping you could just explain what sort of makes or what's unique about the technology compared to sort of other innovations on the market at the moment.
I think the thing is the experience of what we did in 2014 made us realize that you couldn't just have one bit of technology. The sensors, even today, that we're using are 4 times the mass of other sensors that are out there for pollution monitoring. Our sensors are calibrated by AI every day, and they last for 5 years. So having a system where you have to keep replacing sensors every 6 months is a little bit difficult for AIs to cope with. They like consistency of data. We're saying the same thing with the way that we measure Bluetooth. We found that people were using little Bluetooth detectors to do things, and we developed one that actually looked at the protocol, the underlying protocol, and took that information. And we've got several hundred of those installed now across the UK. So I think integration of the different bits of technology all in one package rather than just doing one thing and relying on other people. Thanks, Jane.
Perfect. Thanks. Thanks, Brian.
Brilliant. Thanks, Brian. Now we move into next presentation. We are going to world of electric vehicles. The world that is full of with the scary price tags. Here to present the re-engineered approach to this challenge. MEV, please welcome Tim Harper.
Well, thanks, Gokhan, and good afternoon. And So I'm the CEO of a company called MEV, stands for Manchester Electric Vehicles. And what we really wanted to do was become a new UK vehicle manufacturer. So we're not manufacturing components, we're actually making cars. And we wanted to make electric vehicles, but also get them down to the lowest possible cost, because without that, you don't get the adoption you need. So we know why this is happening. Even before the ban on internal combustion engine vehicles being brought forward, we could see there was a demand for electric vehicles. But the problem is that even banning the ICE vehicles doesn't really solve the problem. Most of the vehicles on the road have an average age of about 8 years. A lot of the lower end of the market, the cheaper vehicles used by the more disadvantaged communities, are even older and more polluting. So even if you just took all the internal combustion engines new sales out straight away, you're still going to get this long tail going on for 10, 15 years. In terms of decarbonisation, it is going to take a lot longer than that people would want. So the other issue that we've got is that if you want to shift to a zero emission vehicle, it comes at a premium. So sure, you can buy a Tesla, but they're pretty expensive. Even if you want to buy a small city car, say a VW Up or a Citroen C1, you're talking £8,000 to £10,000. For a petrol engine version. As soon as you stick a battery in there, you're getting up to £20,000, £30,000, which is what Renault will charge you for the Zoe. So that really means that if you want to go for zero emissions, you've got to have deep pockets to be able to pay for that. So where we started from is our normal day-to-day business is this kind of stuff. It's motorsport, it's Formula One, it's GT racing. And we started off with a question, well, could we use our expertise in motorsport engineering, based at the National Centre for Motorsport Engineering in Bolton, to come up with a solution to this conundrum of the price of electric vehicles? So what we wanted to do, we started with the idea of making a very simple, low cost and very efficient vehicle, making maximum use of things like composite materials, aluminium, which we use all the time in motorsport, but they have certain problems in working with them, which precludes them from some of the mass market vehicles. But use that expertise in being able to recycle a lot of the vehicle. And really get the price down to a point where we're competing with e-bikes rather than with Tesla, but providing four wheels for what other people will charge you for two. The result was our first vehicle, Be Anywhere, which we think we can get onto the market for about £8,000. We've done a lot of things to drive down the cost and increase the functionality, but the key thing is to provide a real drivable vehicle with enough space inside and a decent range that can go out at about £8,000. And once you get down to that price point, all kinds of new opportunities start coming up. But the key one is that people will start adopting the vehicle, because if you want an EV and you can get one at a quarter of the price of the ones from the major manufacturers, then why not? So it's a lightweight vehicle. We've got a top speed of about 40 miles an hour, range of about 80 miles, which is sufficient for a lot of the journeys that are undertaken, and especially by second cars that sit on the driveway all the time. To do this, we really had to rethink automotive production. One of the issues you often get with a major manufacturer is they have supply chains with 10-year supply agreements in them. They have a number of sort of standards they have to uphold. They have standard component bins, and the biggest cost, of course, is you have a platform that was designed for an internal combustion engine that has to be re-engineered and tested to work as a battery electric vehicle. So we started from the other end and built it from the ground up with certainly an eye on how do we manufacture this in volume. And the trick to that was to use what we do in motorsport, which is have self-aligning components that just need a few welds to give you the rigidity, and then we cover that with a composite recyclable body shell. The other thing we did is we turned this effectively onto an app on wheels by replacing a lot of the vehicle information and entertainment systems that, you know, as you know, normally when you buy a car, the stuff you get in the vehicle is probably about 5 years behind what you've already got on your smartphone. So we thought, well, why not just use a smartphone at the heart of that? Make that open source as well, so that if we want to add different functionality, or if it needs to be used in car sharing applications, or for fleets want to monitor other things, whether it's to put some air quality sensors on, measure road conditions, anything else, that's all possible. And of course, you report back with the usage. And that allows us really to rethink this whole idea of mobility. For a lot of car clubs, for example, you have to be in the center of a city to get the volume to make it work. We can get that down to pretty much similar costs to the scooter hire. And that allows you to go into areas where you have much lower density, so especially rural, semi-rural areas. We've got a good team here involving Space Agency, European Space Agency, investment banks, and motorsport, and Keith Johnston, who you'll hear from in another guys in a minute, who was the person who introduced the G-Whiz to the UK. We're just there with the prototype. We'll be launching the vehicle in January 21 and getting into full production later in the year. And if you've got any other questions, you can find us at beanywhere.com. The B, of course, being the symbol of Manchester.
Thanks, Tim. Another great presentation. It's been really interesting working with you and learning more about your technology. We have a question for you as well, Jake.
Cheers, Gokhan. Thanks, Tim. Tim, you mentioned that you're able to build sort of an EV for £8,000, which is, you know, as I understand it, considerably less than the market price. How have you been able to build an EV that sort of comes in at that price tag?
Well, it's exactly what we do in motorsport. So you start off with what performance do you need, right? And you just put in the components you need to get that performance. So, you know, if you look at sort of the difference between, say, you know, a Volkswagen Golf and a Formula One car, you know, there's plenty of differences other than sort of the engine being in a different place and only having one seat. But in motorsport, you just focus on what you need to do that job. Whereas a lot of modern cars tend to come on a platform, and there's a whole range of different variants that will be built on that. So with something like the Be Anywhere, because we knew and had a very clear idea of what it needed to do, we could just reduce the number of components, minimize everything so that we could get it produced as quickly as possible. And that's what really gives you cost savings, because we're just focusing on we're making one vehicle for one market segment to do a specific role.
Perfect, thanks, Tim. And I guess it's even more important with the recent changes in bringing forward the time that we all need to be in EVs sooner rather than later. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Tim. Very impressive. I'm looking forward to hearing about rollout early next year. And looking forward to experiencing bees. Thank you. Okay, now that we are in the world of electric vehicle, of course, yes, we have to talk about, you're right, we have to talk about energy, electric. And our final SME is Urban Electric, meeting the demands of the growing need for EV charging hubs without congesting our curbsides. Is a challenger across the country, pioneering with an innovative solution to this challenge. Please welcome Ollie Freeling Wilkinson from Urban Electric.
Hello all, thanks for taking the time to hear about urban electric today and about how pop-up electric vehicle charging hubs will revolutionise electric vehicle adoption in the areas we need it most, and that's our towns and cities. But first, a little bit about urban electric. So we were set up in 2017. We've kind of been working in stealth mode with support from the UK's innovation agency, that's Innovate UK, and the European Innovation Agency, that's Climate Kick, to develop our infrastructure. Although I've got recent startup experience, I'm fortunate enough to be supported by two super experienced partners in the electric vehicle space. I've got Keith Johnson, co-founder with over 18 years experience, and he was responsible for the G-Whiz, as was mentioned in the previous presentation, in London a decade or so ago. And of course, we've got Calvi Taylor-Hoare, who's got 17 years experience, and he set up arguably the world's first charging network, Electromotive, which is acquired by ChargeMaster, now BP ChargeMaster or BP Pulse as of this week. So what problem are we trying to solve? I think it's fair to say that, cars are parked at home most of the time. In fact, that's over 80% of the time. And so nearly all charging today is done at home, in drives and in garages, because it's like super convenient. You've got certainty of access to charging. And for all this talk about charging speeds, there is no wait time when you plug in at home. You just wake up to a full charge. Of course, this is suitable for more than 90% of all mobility miles. However, a sizable proportion of urban households do not have access to home charging because they park on the street. And the figures you see there relate to London, which is typical of most cities. So unless we find a way to provide convenient charging for these homes, we're unlikely to see an EV revolution in our towns and cities anytime soon. Now, there are traditional charging infrastructure out there, such as the typical posts that you might see. However, you don't see too many of them in urban spaces, really because they face huge resistance from local authorities and residents. They're also vandal prone. There's lamppost solutions, which we absolutely love, by the way. However, there aren't always that many of them. They are supply constrained. They may not have enough power. They may be positioned on the wrong side of the pavement, so you can't have a trailing cable across the pavement. And of course, we won't talk about DIY solutions. Clearly, will make some lawyers happy, but clearly not a scalable solution. So for urban electric, we spent approximately 12 months talking to government and local authorities to really understand the pain points, not only for them, but also for residents, pedestrians, anyone who could be affected or by infrastructure in urban spaces. So we came up with a really simple concept, a charge point that simply hides away when not in use to minimize the impact on urban spaces whilst keeping pavements clutter-free. I mean, this is a real solution that can be rolled out today. Ultimately, this means that we can deploy infrastructure in places others can't. So our competitors can't deploy the same type of infrastructure on sort of nice urban, leafy suburbs, streets where people park on the street. A little bit about our tech. The key thing is that it's really easy to use. There's no buttons to press that you have to bend down and get dirty to operate. It's all app operated, so it all just comes out of the ground once you summon your charge point by app. We also firmly believe in the one pump fits all philosophy we have all taken for granted with petrol and diesel cars. So you don't need any special equipment, just the standard charging cable you get supplied with your electric vehicle. It's super easy to maintain. We've got an innovative swap out system that just takes minutes to swap a whole unit out, and it's robust. Let's not forget, we spent not far off 3 years developing and testing this to get it right. And it's safe. It has sensors on it to make sure you don't lift people off to the moon as well. And of course, the final thing is that it meets all regulations and guidance around minimum socket heights, not only for safety, but also inclusive mobility. So if you're a wheelchair user, for example, and that is the reason why it is a pop-up bollard that rises so high, not something that's lower in the ground. So it's a huge market opportunity. And really, even if we had a sizable charging network, in fact, 10,000 charge points would be the biggest in the UK, we'd only be scratching the opportunity as far as Europe's concerned. As mentioned, up to now, we've had support from Innovate UK and Climate Kick. And of course, now through the Simulate programme with support from Amey and Connected Places Catapult, we've already proved the concept with a successful prototype trial in Oxford with an 86% resident approval rating. And that was from all residents. So not just those that use infrastructure, but also those that were dead resistant to infrastructure as well. So it was a great win for us. And we're currently deploying infrastructure across Dundee and Plymouth and a mobility hub in Staffordshire through the Simulate programme. And looking ahead to 2021, we'll be formally launching commercial operations in the UK and abroad. We've already built a pipeline of 10 local authorities with more to come. And just a few kind words here from either people that are using our infrastructure or know about our technology. Fraser is a highlight there at the top, who's been using our charging infrastructure in Dundee over the last couple of months. And so the ask, sorry about this, the ask for us is really, we're looking for partners, anybody who shares our passion to decarbonise transport in urban areas. We'd be happy to talk to local authorities, investors, strategic partners to ensure that we can scale as quickly and efficiently as possible. So thank you very much for taking the time to listen.
Ollie, thank you very much. Great presentation. Great way to wrap up the program presentations. Jake, have a question for you too.
Yeah, just a final one for me. Thanks, Ollie. Just to touch around sort of the risk around your innovation with such a fast changing market. With innovations such as wireless charging, how do you plan to adapt your infrastructure to ensure it doesn't become obsolete in sort of the changing market that we're in?
Sure. I mean, I think there's a lot of noise which worries people around the technology risk and the fast-moving technological landscape. But I think the very key thing to keep in mind is that let's assume all new cars from tomorrow were wireless enabled. Public charging infrastructure will still need to be equitable. So let's say in 10 years' time, you're a low-income household and you bought a fifth-hand Nissan Leaf, you'll still need to be able to plug in to charge in a public space. So, the humble socket, like it or not, is going to be around for quite some time to come, at least the next few decades. But that being said, we're always keeping a keen eye on innovations, and wireless is something that we are looking at. And if and when it makes sense, we'd certainly look to incorporate it, because updating the physical infrastructure, i.e. what you can see, is actually fairly straightforward. It's quite an easy thing to do. The hard bit is digging up the pavements in the first place to actually get infrastructure in place.
Brilliant. Thanks for answering that one, Ollie.
Very interesting. Thank you, Ollie. And again, if you are interested in meeting Ollie or any of the SMEs that you have heard today, please pop in the breakout room after our guest speaker's presentation. Okay. Great, well done to everyone. It's been a brilliant program to be a part of. I'm looking forward to seeing how the project develops in the coming months. Jake, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Gökhan. Look, I just wanted to echo Gökhan's thanks. Look, firstly, thanks to all the SMEs for putting in the time and effort into today and all the work that's gone into the programme. That we released the challenges sort of 9-10 months ago, and we asked a lot just from the application stage and going through, make it to the final 10. So it was a big thank you to everyone involved in the programme, and just really excited to look forward to the next sort of 6 to 12 months when we get into live trialing and understand the results that come off the back of this, and then where we are sort of in 12 months time off the back of the program and all the work that everyone's doing. So no, just another thank you from myself to the SMEs and everyone on the call today.
All right. So thank you, Jake. Yes, too many parts, too many people and organizations involved, and thanks to everyone who have contributed to our success. This has been a true collaboration example. After all, collaboration drives innovation. Thanks everybody again. One last treat for you this afternoon before we head into the networking session. Our guest speaker from key actors of UK's transition to integrated mobility solutions, Como UK. Please welcome Antonia Roberts.
Afternoon, everybody. Hi, thanks for welcoming me onto this. I'm going to pop off my camera in a minute while I'm presenting because my Wi-Fi isn't brilliant today, but I just wanted to say hello first of all, and I'll pop back on at the end to take any questions. So there we go. I can do the slides. There we go. Yeah, thank you ever so much for welcoming me onto this session this afternoon. I really enjoyed hearing about all the different innovations that you've got going on. There we go. Sorry, that you've been working on. I think it's really interesting to see the range of different exciting things that have been happening. I just wanted to spend a few minutes talking about shared transport, mobility hubs, and what I see is what Gökhan was kind of saying really is the power of collective working. There's a great number of places like Staffordshire that are kind of really breaking the mold in terms of how we organise our mobility services, and so there's a real chance here for us to kind of make the most of these opportunities. Okay, right, here we go. Running away. So COA UK, in case you haven't heard of us before, we're a charity. We work for the public good, supporting the development of shared transport. We create network links between operators and national and local government, promoting all forms of shared transport, car clubs, bike share, e-scooters, DRT, and we do this through guidance documents, promoting the impacts of shared transport through collecting research, and creating networks for people to share their best practice and ideas on. So just wanted to spend a minute thinking about the car club to start off with. This is where COA UK began, thinking about car clubs. And really, I think if we're going to be making impacts, then thinking about the car element of our travel is the linchpin to this. Without having a solution to that aspect of, getting to IKEA, picking up Granny, etc., then the default will end up being ownership, and therefore a lack of limit in those use. So we know that converting people from private ownership to pay-as-you-go, car club use will not only reduce the number of cars that we've got on our streets and the clutter from that, but also is the trigger to changing it use of into other modes. So this is where I kind of wanted to start off with, but I think it's interesting because car clubs have been part of the scene for almost 2 decades now, and alongside other modes have been sort of really fighting to get their space both on the street and their airtime, the profile, and I think it's really great to see so many new modes coming along, which can really help to amplify this call to kind of reclaim space on the streets and shift how we're using the space from just the use of private cars. So at the same time as the proliferation in new modes are coming on, we also have this kind of new concept of a mobility hub. So it's been around for a little while in Europe, but it's pretty new to the UK. This is the idea that you might redesign the street space, think about how you might house new modes, including shared modes, alongside public transport, reorganising them so that they're comfortable, modern, safe, and thinking about modernising the whole idea of public transport services. So this is something that we came across a couple of years ago when we started working on a programme called Share North, a European project where they're well ahead of the game, and they've really helping to help us understand how these mobility hubs develop and the benefits of them. So not only are we kind of shifting space away from private car parking, modernising public transport, but making the whole experience better for the users, making it an experience that people want to engage with, that feels like it's an attractive alternative to private car. And in turn, it's helping to increase the patronage of those services and their viability. But it's also good for the communities around it. So residents welcome the reduction in car dominance, businesses welcome increasing footfall, and there's just a shift in terms of how the local community can be enhanced through the kind of redesign of this street space. Okay, so some of the lessons learned that we've got through the Share North programme, which I thought would be interesting to share, is just thinking about the experiences that they've had. I mean, whenever you're introducing new services, you've got to think about tailoring it to the local needs. But I think with mobility hubs, they're quite often part of a network. So you've got to balance the idea of what are the consistent elements that you might want in a mobility hub, so people know what services that they might expect in those areas, and can be predictable. But also fit in with what are the local specific needs there. You want to think about building champions by talking to local groups, speaking to the media, making sure their concerns are listened to, and keeping them informed so that they help to be a voice for the development as it expands. Location is really important. Those of you that are providing services like this will know that it can make a big difference which part of a neighbourhood this is developed in. So it's important to listen to operator views. A key part of this process is thinking about revenue costs for upkeep of mobility hubs. So thinking either about budgeting for that or innovative solutions for sharing those kind of costs. We've just commissioned some work on business models for hubs, which we can hopefully share in the new year to think about different ways of approaching that. And then I guess speed is also an issue. So public and private sectors work at different paces for good reasons. But I think we've seen the use of trials, temporary TROs, etc., to try out ideas, which has helped to kind of overcome some of these issues. Also, a quick point about COVID. I think a lot is changing because of the impacts of COVID over the last year. So this needs to be factored in when developing mobility hubs now, I think, in terms of thinking about community facilities and not just mobility facilities for local neighbourhoods now. I wanted to just do a quick slide about branding. So obviously each of the individual services within a hub will likely have their own branding. Here's some examples of where a common brand has been used across a range of services. And obviously that provides a bit of a networking effect, an illustration of the fact that this is part of something coherent and bigger across an area and help to create awareness. I think it's interesting to think about how that might work in the UK, not just with mobility hubs, but with mass platforms as well, to make it seem like it's part of a bigger thing. So there's a few examples there. Typology. So part of our guidance that we produced a year or so back, we introduced the idea of a set of typologies for mobility hubs. So although there's common elements in terms of what we see as the essential parts of a hub, public transport, shared transport, and redesign of street space, this could be done at completely different scales with different components and different elements, which will obviously be tailored to the local area. But it gives a bit of a framework to think about how you might look at those elements in each of those different contexts. So this map shows you what kind of activity there is in the UK at the moment. It's really quite exciting to see how much is happening. A lot is in the pipeline, very little, if anything, is actually launched yet. There's a few that are very, very close to that point. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this develops into the new year, to see things come through to fruition. Just a quick note about quality. So obviously, it's no good if we just have any old bus stop and bike rack labelled as a mobility hub. And I'm exaggerating, but it's important that we reflect on what is good quality. We created a framework to be thinking about standards within mobility hubs. This graphic illustrates some of that. So the aspects that you might be thinking about are choice of modes, the visibility of those different aspects of the hub, safety, practical elements within it, visual and social community appeal of a hub, not just the kind of mobility aspects. And looking at all those aspects in the round and how they integrate with each other. So what we've done over the last few months is develop this into a framework where there's a checklist for each of the different types of typology that I mentioned before. So here's an example of the suburban and mini hubs that lists out the essential criteria that we might expect to see in each of the hub under the different factors, but then also some ideas about the desirable elements that you might also see as well. I think this is a system in which, we're kind of then building into an accreditation system so that people can then showcase their good practice, and we can shout about that and promote that as a good practice to other areas. It would be interesting to see how those different elements are. It has to have some real life examples that we can call upon and see once they're in real life. So yeah, sorry, that's a bit of a whistle-stop tour of what I was thinking about in terms of mobility hubs. I think it would be really interesting to hear from you if you're involved in any of these schemes. But I think, just to echo those kind of points that Gökhan was making, it is all about collective working, and I think that we can achieve more if we work together in these scenarios. Thank you.
Thank you, Antonia. An interesting presentation. Really great to see so many synergies between what Como are doing and the vision of the Simulate program. And please, if you do have questions for Antonio or for Como, please feel free to get in touch via email. Okay, and there you have it. That concludes the presentations for today. 16:47, almost on time. It's networking time. Before we do so, I just want to say thank you on behalf of the Simulate program team for joining us today. It's been a great event,